And they wanted to know if smoking weed would hinder or help their performance while playing the piano. Because personally, when I'm hard at work on a specific certain task, if I can keep my mind dedicated to that task, and then I get high and go back to that task, my mind is more focused. I'm just so completely in tune with what I'm doing. It helps immensely.
Marijuana was first introduced to America by revolutionary Mexican immigrants at the dawn of the 20th century. Remember the song La Cucaracha? That was their war anthem, and its English translation looks something like this. Once brought into the States, both the song and the weed, though mostly the latter, became a favorite among jazz musicians. Under names such as Muggles, Tea, and Reefer, marijuana was gradually spread up the East Coast. In the 1933 hit, Reefer Man, Cab Calloway describes an imaginary dealer of the plant.
What's Matt this cat here? Yeah. What do you mean he's high? Full of weed. Full of weed? Yeah. Who is this cat anyway? The Reefer Man? Yeah. Why, look at that dog. He looks like he's losing his mind. Yeah. Lost his mind? Yeah. Come on, let's get away from here. Have you ever met that funny Reefer Man? Have you ever met that funny Reefer Man? If he says he swam to China, wants to sell you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that Reefer Man.
While Calloway was playing the Reefer Man, another man by the name of Harry J. Anslinger was waging a vicious war on marijuana. A former assistant prohibition commissioner, Anslinger became the first commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics in 1930. During his 32-year reign, he passed legislation such as the Uniform State Narcotic Act and the Marijuana Tax Act. His anti-pot legislations were bolstered by his relentless propaganda campaign, Reefer Madness. This included radio advertisements and his piece de resistance, The Gore Files, a series of false tales of the gruesome and crazed actions of people under the influence of marijuana. It was all incredibly convincing. By 1951, the Boggs Act was passed, requiring mandatory sentences for violators of marijuana law, and in 1956, the Narcotic Control Act was passed, severely increasing the penalty for pot by putting it in the same category as hard drugs such as heroin. Then, the 60s happened.
You know Wooderson?
Oh. How's it going, man?
Hey. Pretty good. How's it going with you?
Say, man, you got a joint?
No, not on me, man.
It'd be a lot cooler if you did.
The 60s was a decade defined by a rebellious youth and their nonviolent fight against the establishment, man. They practiced peace and pot, and their anthems included Bob Dylan's Rainy Day Women, number 12 and 35.
Everybody must get stoned. They'll stone you when you're walking on the street. They'll stone you when you're trying to keep your seat. They'll stone you when you're walking on the floor. They'll stone you when you're walking through the door. But I would not feel so all alone.
By the end of the 70s, enough people had made enough noise to make steps toward decriminalizing marijuana. In 1969, the Senate met to discuss marijuana legislation. Though the 1970 Controlled Substances Act left marijuana as a Schedule I controlled substance, still alongside heroin, the Ann Arbor City Ordinance of 1972 enacted some of the most lenient marijuana laws in the country. In 1973, the Oregon Decriminalization Bill made Oregon the first U.S. state to fully decriminalize possession of small amounts of cannabis. But, regardless of legislature or government drug wars, people continue to toke and make music about it. Cannabis has and will undoubtedly continue to shape the future of music in the U.S. and around the globe. Both marijuana and music have stood the test of time and show no signs of extinction.